Hello again, family, friends, and movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here. And welcome to an imaginative edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Oh, bother. Another movie review. And all I wanted was a pot of honey. Or two. Unfortunately, there's no honey here for you folks. You're just going to have to stick with watching me and my new haircut. Give the movie reviews. So here we go. In this video, I'll be reviewing the movies that were released on August the 3rd, 2018. The first movie that I'll review for you is Christopher Robin, rated PG. It stars Ewan McGregor and Haley Atwell, and features the voice talents of Jim Cummings and Brad Garrett, and was directed by Mark Forster, who already brought you such great films like Monsters Ball, Finding Neverland, Stranger Than Fiction, The Kite Runner, and World War Z. Now, Christopher Robin is inspired by the Winnie the Pooh books by author A. Milne, who in turn was inspired to write them by his real-life son, Christopher Robin. Everybody knows the Winnie the Pooh characters by now, don't you? I mean, whether you read the books, or saw the Disney movie, or the many Disney specials with the characters that were inspired by the books, I mean, who doesn't love Winnie the Pooh? I mean, come on. I mean, those are the characters and stories that just fill you with warmth and love, and takes you right back to your childhood innocence and imagination. And that's actually the overall message that's told in this recent new movie, Christopher Robin. So Christopher Robin answers that age-old question that was previously answered in the movie Hook, that was about Peter Pan. Just what happens to Christopher Robin when he suddenly grows up and leaves the 100-Acre Wood? So the movie starts off, we're introduced to a little boy named Christopher Robin, and he's throwing a farewell party for all his friends in the 100-Acre Wood. And we all know who those friends are, don't we? There's the sweet, lovable bear, Winnie the Pooh. Oh, bother, I want some honey. And the forever worrywart Piglet. Oh dear, oh dear. And then there's the high on life and energy Tigger. T-I-double-G-R. That spells Tigger. And then there's the clinically depressed donkey or... And then there's also rabbit, kangaroo, and owl. You know them all by now, right? And so they're all joined for the party. They have their usual antics that they're known for. And then they all give their tearful, emotional goodbye to Christopher Robin because he's leaving the 100-Acre Wood, probably forever, to grow up. And so what happens to Christopher Robin when he leaves? Well, during the montage sequence that takes place during the opening credits, we see exactly what happens. He goes off to a strict all-boys boarding school. He grows up into the hottie Ewan McGregor. That's a plus. And he meets a girl named Evelyn, played by Haley Atwell, and marries her. And they have a daughter together named Madeline. And then he goes off to World War II, and he's a changed man afterward. And then he comes home, and then he goes right to work in a luggage company called Winslow Luggages. Now, unfortunately, because this takes place after World War II, and everyone's pretty much broke after the war, and because no one goes on vacation when they're broke, and has no use for luggage, the luggage company is falling under. And it's Christopher Robin's job, to make cuts and to decide who to lay off, and, doesn't want to make those decisions, but, it's business. And all the while, he spends so much time with work that he loses track and doesn't spend any time with his wife or daughter. And, they become very strained over it, the marriage and the relationship between father and daughter. And so weekend comes when all three of them supposed to go off to a country cottage in Sussex. It's the same cottage he lived in next to the 100-Acre Wood when he was a little boy. But unfortunately, he has to stay at work all weekend and figure out how to, make those cuts and decide who to lay off. And so, they leave, and then meanwhile, they wait for vacation. Meanwhile, in the 100-Acre Wood, Pooh wakes up, and he can't find any of his friends anywhere in the 100-Acre Wood. So then he finds a hollowed-out tree, and he walks into it, and he comes out the other side, another tree in a park in the middle of London. Oh, bother, what is this place? And he falls asleep on a bench. Meanwhile, Christopher Robin is walking home, and then he sits down on a bench and wonders, oh dear, what to do? What to do indeed. I know that voice. Pooh? And all of a sudden they start off on a journey, to get Pooh back to the 100-Acre Wood and find out what happened to his friends. And along the way, he discovers the vital importance of, love and family and friends, and child reclaiming your childhood innocence, and of most importance, recovering your imagination, which is one of the most powerful tools in the world. Now, overall, ladies and germs, I thought this was a really delightful film overall. I mean, it was warm, and it was, glows, it's funny, and it's heartfelt, and, it's just a nice, nice movie for the whole family to watch. I don't think there was one thing that I would find objectionable that, kids would have a problem with. No, not at all. You can all go and see it, no matter what age you are, and you will love it. I mean, it takes a little getting used to. I mean, those puppets, they're kind of scary seeing these toys, alive. I mean, so once you get past the creep factor, they're pretty lovable characters. The characters that you all remember from, those old Disney shorts. And the acting is good. I mean, Ewan McGregor does a great job interacting with this bear, because most of the movie is just him and Pooh together. And there's some nice visuals overall, and seeing the 100-Acre Wood again, it brings you right back to your childhood. And I will say one of the what do you call it, the cons I would say about the movie is it's a little slow paced. I mean, especially in the beginning, it's a little slow to get started. It's not until he and Pooh get back, adult Christopher Robin and Pooh get back to the 100-Acre Wood that it really starts to pick up, like really does. And then you're like, oh, this is so much fun, entertaining, and aside from the slow beginning. And overall, I have a great time watching this movie. And if I have to give my grade, I would give it a B+. Yes, despite a few flaws, this was a near-perfect, family-friendly movie for everyone to see. And I highly recommend that everybody, young or old, go and see this movie. It's one of my favorite ones I've seen this summer. And, if Jeff Rayburn, likes a movie that much, then you all need to go see it then. I tell you all to reclaim your imagination and go to the theater and get your honey. And by honey, I mean, the movie that I recommend to you. The movie Christopher Robin. As Pooh would say, moving on. Okay, the next film that I'll review for you is The Spy Who Dumped Me, rated R. It stars Mila Kunis, Kate McKinnon, Justin Theroux, and Sam Heughan, and was directed by Susanna Fogel, who also brought you the movie Life Partners. Now, The Spy Who Dumped Me is about a girl named Audrey, played by Mila Kunis. And she's having a tough life right now. She works as a cashier, and it's her birthday, and she was recently dumped by her boyfriend, Drew, played by Justin Theroux. And we find out in the opening sequence that her boyfriend, Drew, is actually a CIA spy who's in Europe right now in the middle of a high-stakes covert operation. He's quite literally the spy who dumped her. Get it? And so Audrey's struggling to celebrate her birthday, and she has her best friend and roommate with her, Morgan, played by Kate McKinnon, and she suggests, let's go burn your boyfriend's stuff. What? Yeah, let's teach that creep what he missed out on. Yeah, let's do it. And so on her way back to her apartment, Audrey is picked up in a van by a man named Sebastian, played by Sam Heughan, and he explains the situation to her. I'm sorry to say your ex-boyfriend is a spy. What? Drew? A spy? No. Yep, afraid so. And he's got something that we want, and it's back at your apartment. No, I don't think that you're anything that he has. He's not a spy. That doesn't make any sense. And no sooner does she get back to her apartment, Drew's waiting for her. He's already come back. And he says, I need something from you. Didn't burn my stuff, did you? No. And, he explains to her, yep, I am a spy. No. Yep. And all of a sudden, there's a big shootout happens, and Drew gets caught in the tailfire. No. And as he's dying, he explains he has to get something to his contact in Vienna. And he says, you've got to do it. What? I don't know what's going on here. And it's all crazy stuff happening. And so he dies, and then she and Morgan, have to work together. Should we do it? Get what he had to get to Vienna? So they realize, well, these guys are going to chase us anyway, these creeps with guns, so might as well. So they hop in the first plane to Vienna and figure as soon as we get this over with, we can get back to our lives. And so they meet up with the contact of that restaurant in Vienna, and they're all set to give the trophy, whatever it is, to that person. And, Sebastian tailed them the whole way. And all of a sudden, a shootout happens in that restaurant, and they have no choice but to go on the run. and they're just girls. They have no idea as how to be spies, and so they're freaking out. They try to get in a car chase. They do all sorts of things that spies are supposed to do along the way. High crazy antics are happening, and hilarity ensues. And well, I should say it's supposed to, but we'll get to that in a minute. Overall, this movie, I would say, see, this is the kind of movie that you want in your whole being for it to be a great movie because you love the main actors so much, but you watch it and then you realize, oh, this just is so lacking. It's just not that great. I mean, which is it's a shame because, I mean, like I said, I love Mila Kunis. She's a funny actress and she does a good job. And even better, who steals the spotlight is Kate McKinnon. I mean, I just love Kate McKinnon. I mean, she's the kind of actress, the funny SNL actress who always gives it her all, 150%. And she, of course, does it in this movie too. She uses every fiber of her acting talents to get all crazy-eyed and and all her crazy antics that she's known for, or their voices that she uses. And I just wish they had a better script to work with. I mean, it was all there. I mean, The Spy Who Dumped Me. I mean, the concept alone is great. I mean, girls have to become spies, and there are a couple, funny moments in the movie, like when they have to, steal someone's car. We need your car, to make a quick getaway, but it's a stick shift, and they can't drive sticks, so they're trying to make it go, and it's like you're coasting down that hill, and it's not moving at all. And the couple is like outside the car, hey, dun, 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 give me our car back, and they crash the car, and then okay, take your car. We have to go on foot then. I wish they had more of those moments in the movie, those just funny moments that they're trying to be spies and they fail miserably, but it has a problem with tone. Like, sometimes it's wildly over the top and sometimes it's too serious. It's like, okay, let's pick a tone here and stick with it because it's a little uneven. Overall, I would give this movie a C+. I mean, it's slightly better than average, but still, I mean, with the comedic actresses and the talent that they've had with them, they should have been given much better material, or at least allowed them to improvise a lot more. It just feels like a wasted opportunity, really. I mean, would I recommend you see this one? Only if you're a fan of, Mila Kunis or Kate McKinnon. Otherwise, no. I mean, I Spy with My Little Eye, a movie I wouldn't recommend. Moving on. All right, so the last movie from August the 3rd that I'll review for you is The Darkest Minds, rated PG-13. It stars Amandla Stenberg, Harris Dickinson, Mandy Moore, and Gwendolyn Christie, and was directed by Jennifer Yu Nelson, who already brought you such films as Kung Fu Panda 2 and Kung Fu Panda 3. Now, The Darkest Minds is based on a young adult dystopian novel by Alexandra Bracken. Because you know how much we all need another cliched young adult dystopian novel turned movie, don't we? I mean, come on. These kind of movies are basically a cliche at this point. There's always the teenage girl protagonist, the pretty white boy love interest, the dystopian future where most of the world's wiped out, and the authoritarian control of humanity. That's all that's left. I mean, there's like the Hunger Games and the Fifth Wave. I mean, they're pretty much all the same by now. And unfortunately, this one isn't much different, really. But here we go anyway. So The Darkest Minds is set in the near future, and there's a disease called idiopathic adolescent acute neurodegeneration, or IAAN for short. And it's a brain disease in children. In fact, it's already wiped out 90% of all the children in the world. And the remaining 10% of the children have this disease in the brain, has already developed special psychic abilities inside their heads. And the government, fearing them and their powers, decided to round them up in internment camps. And they classify them by color, based on their abilities. Like, for example, green is a safe color, and those are the people who developed high intelligence in their minds. And blue is next up, and those people with telekinetic abilities. And then there are people who are classified as gold, and they have can control electricity. And then there's the danger colors. There's red, where people can generate fire out of their mouths. And then there's the ultimate dangerous orange. People who are orange can control people with their minds, like make them do whatever they want. So that's dangerous. And so then we're introduced to our main character, Ruby. She just celebrated her 10th birthday, and she's, not feeling too well, and she's showing symptoms of this disease. And it's not long after her birthday that the government comes in and takes her away from her family. Mommy, Daddy. And she's taken to the camps, and, they examine her brain, and they discover she's an orange. And so the doctor's all ready to euthanize her, and then she unknowingly uses her powers against him. No, I'm not an orange. I am a green. You will let me go back to everyone else and classify me as a green. And the doctor's all, I will classify you as a green. You're a green. Basically, she has the power of the Jedi mind trick. These are not the droids you're looking for. And so 6 years go by, and Ruby is now 16 and is turned into actress Amanda Stenberg. And it's not long, she's rediscovered that she's an orange again, and they're all ready to kill her again. But then a doctor named Kate, played by Mandy Moore, takes sympathy on her, and she manages to sneak her out of the camps. And she wonders, who are you? What are you doing this for? Well, I have to tell you, I'm not actually a doctor. I work for the Children's League. It's a resistance group that tries to go against this horrible internment camps the government set up. But then Ruby's not sure if she can trust her, though, because she's an Novus woman. And so first chance she gets when they get stopped for arrest, she takes off running into the woods and runs for a while. And she comes across three other kids who are runaways. There's a green named Chubbs. He's an African-American boy. And then there's a little Asian girl named Zoo. She's a gold. She can control electricity. And then the last kid is Liam, who's a blue. And he's played by Harris Dickinson. He's the pretty white boy love interest. I mean, you know exactly when you meet him that, oh, these two are going to get together. I mean, it's not even a surprise anymore in these movies. But they're all working together. They decided to bring her along, and the four of them are out running a bounty hunter named Lady Jane, played by Gwendolyn Christie. It's her job, as a bounty hunter, to track down these runaway kids and bring them back to the camps. And while they're running from her, they're also trying to find the rumored safe haven for kids like them. It's run by Slip Kid. And can they find this safe haven in Slip Kid? And in this world that they're living in, can they really trust anyone anymore? That's the main message here in this movie. But we all know the main concern of this movie. Will the girl and the boy end up together in the end? I mean, that's pretty much where I'll start this review, is that we've seen this movie before countless times, adapted from similar young adult novels that are in the dystopian futures. I mean, it's no different here. There's the main girl protagonist, teenage girl, and the pretty white boy love interest that she meets, and it's a dystopian world. It's the same movie all over again. And I'm assuming that the book, I didn't read it, is hundreds of pages long, because the movie's only an hour and 45 minutes, and they just try and cram as much as they can. They're just flying through events like there's like a breakneck pace, and there's no time to, settle on focus on relationships or building characters. Let's get from event to event here. And yeah, you have, the acting's not too great from everyone. I mean, the adults do the best they can, but the kids, I mean, they do their best, I guess, but it's just, it's one of those movies where you know what's going to happen, little by little, who's going to betray who, whether it's the world's coming to an end, but oh no, I gotta fall in love with this guy. That's much more important than our teenage love than anything else that's going on. I mean, really. It's not really all that funny or all that, thrilling or sad or emotional. It's just not much of anything, really. For my grade, I give it a C minus. And I could go lower, but, some of the effects and some of the stories and the actual concept is actually compelling enough that I was willing to stay for the whole duration. But would I recommend that you guys all see this? No. I mean, it's funny because the whole movie, they're trying to set up like a sequel the whole time, but it's like it failed miserably at the box office, so I don't think that sequel is happening anymore. Poor author. Her books won't get made then. I mean, this is a movie that, unless you really want to see that, girl get with that guy in this dystopian world, then probably don't want to see this, you guys. Moving on. Oh, bother. I just wanted a pot of honey, and all I get is this recap. Recap. Christopher Robin, B+. A fun, heartwarming, and lovable film starring Winnie the Pooh and all your favorite characters from the 100-Acre Wood. This is a film that's fun for the whole family, young and old, and you will all be entertained together. One of my favorite movies of the summer. I highly recommend it. Everybody go see this one, please. You won't regret it. The Spy Who Dumped Me, C+. Despite winning performances by the two lead actresses, it's just not that funny or interesting. Unless you like Mila Kunis or Kate McKinnon, I don't know if I recommend this one. Shame. And finally, The Darkest Minds, C-. Another cliched young adult dystopian novel turned film that's more interested in teen romance than an actual compelling story. I don't recommend this one to anyone, so don't even bother. And that'll do it for another imaginative edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody! Oh, bother. Hope I can find that pot of honey.